Hello everyone, this is going to be a setup video as for how to prepare for the rig that you need for your facial rigging assignment. So right now I have the amalgam head, which is taken directly from the class drive, which includes, I have made a couple changes, including combining the eyebrows and the skin mesh together, and that's about, and I have arranged a hierarchical structure of the mesh to be something like this. So the first thing we need to do is add a joint structure. So in order to do so, I'm going to go to the orthographic side view, and in order to go and add joints, I like to go to the rigging tab and I like to click on the joint tool icon. So right now I can place joints as well. As you can first see, this might happen by default. The joints may seem a bit too large to work with, so in order to change it, we can go to Settings, Preferences, go to Kinematics, and I will reduce the joint size to, well, we can go a bit smaller than that. Why don't we try 0.25? Okay, this looks about good to work with. So right now, what I'm going to do is so how the joint tool works is you click on one point, and for each additional click you make after it until you hit the enter key, it makes a new joint, and then you hit the enter key to finalize the joint chain. So what I will do is I will place a joint at the base of the neck, one in the middle of the neck, one around where the base of the skull is, and one around the top of the head. Then hit the enter key to confirm your joint place location. Whoa, I must have hit the delete key by accident. Okay, so now that that's in place, it's good to label joints accordingly, just for good organizational practice. Is always a good habit. So I'm going to name the bottom one base joint. I'll call this one neck joint. I'll call the third one head joint. And then I'll call the last one top joint. So if now that we have the place, it may be, nice if we could visibly see the joints a bit more easier, because right now it's a bit dark against the mesh. So I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to call this layer joint. Layer joint. I'm going to change the color to pink. Okay, that's about good. Now I'm going to take the joints, add it. Now it'll be highlighted pink, and it's a bit more easier to see. Now I'm going to click on the joints. I'm going to click on the head joint. I'm going to create the jaws. So in order to do so, I'm going to click one around the bottom of the earlobe. That's where the jaw joint connects to the bottom of the skull. Then I'll make another joint at the chin. So that will do for the movement of the mouth, as you can see right here. And now as for the eyes, because we need to be able to manipulate the eyebrows as per requirement, eyelids and eyebrows as per requirement of the assignment. So the quickest way to do eyelids so I'm going to do this. I'm going to hide the mesh. I'm going to create an individual joint, and then I'm going to use the D, and I'm going to use the V key, and manipulate the joint so it's between the center of the eyeballs. So now that I have a joint that's in the center of the eye, I'm going to open the outliner again, and I'm going to name this joint, I'm going to call this right eyelid top joint. And then let's duplicate this. So I'll make one for the top, and I'll make one for the bottom. So and then here is the jaw joint, chin joint. Okay. So next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take these two joints, and what I will do is Then I'm going to reveal the head, and I'm going to place a couple more joints to move the eyebrows. So in order to do so, I'm going to create a floating joint around, go to the front view, place around where the joints for the eyebrows will go. Then I will go to the side view, and I will shift these joints to their approximate location. Okay, that looks about good. So I'll call this right eyebrow in inner joint, right eyebrow outer joint. Okay, nice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of the joints you created and parent it to the head joint. So when we move the head joint, it'll also move all the other joints above in a hierarchy as well. Okay, so now the quickest way to mirror it, we could repeat the same procedure, or the quicker way to mirror is go to the drop down rigging tab, skeleton, mirror joints, mirror across the YZ, search for, so we're going to search for a LR prefix and replace it with the L prefix. So what this will do is I click on a joint, it'll mirror the joint and change the R to an L for us to remind us that it's the left side, or the character's left, not from our visible left. So I will do the same for, and then I'll do the same for the eyelid joint as well. Okay, that's about good. Alright, so the next step so now that all of the joints are in place, it's time to add some controllers so that we have an easier time manipulating this rig. So creating controllers is just majorly creating a lot of NURBS curves. So what I'll do is I'll hide the mesh, I'll create this joint, I'll create one starting from the neck. You could place one for the base, but I won't for lab 2, because if you end up, if you want to rotate the neck around, if you rotate from the base of the head, you'll rotate the entire head structure, and it may look like a floating ghostly head, which may look less than desirable. Regardless, I am going to make some, right now I'm going to, let's not do any rotation. I'm going to keep it orthographic parallel to the origin. So right now, okay, this is good for the neck. For the head, what I'll do is I'll move something like this, move the head to be more in the, move it to be a bit more in the center, and then to adjust the pivot point of a curve, hit the D and the V key at the same time, and use the middle mouse button and drag it. So now when I manipulate this facial controller, it rotates around that joint. Okay, so now that's good. Let's create one for the chin. What I like to do is I like to take a NURBS circle. Let's hide the mesh, edit the controlled vertices, and I'll use soft select tool. Soft selection. Let's pick a fall off radius is about 5's too much. About, yeah, let's say 2. Move it like here. Nice. Okay, that's good. So I'll move this. I like to do, yeah, this looks like a good chin joint. And now I am going to move the pivot point so that it's aligned to the jaw joint. That's good. Alright, and now we need to create a couple more controllers for the front of the face and the eyes. So to do one for the front of the face, I'm going to create another NURBS circle, gonna rotate this 90 degrees towards the viewer. Manipulate, move the... Oh no, I was meaning to move the entire mesh, not... Okay, there we go. Nice. Now I'm going to... yeah, about that's a good size. I'm going to then, where's the, this should be an outline. Yes, I'm going to take the circle. It could be a bit smaller. Then I will duplicate it. Hold the V key. Move the NURBS. We could take these, move it a bit more further forward of the rig. Say up here is good. I'll take this. Let's rotate it a little bit. Let's rotate this one slightly. Okay, that's good. Now we're going to make the, yeah, in order to, then we'll do one for the eyes. So to make the eyes, I'm just going to duplicate this circle right here. Let's snap it to the eye joint, move it out, and enlarge it. Let's say about here is good. Okay, so just like the joint layer, I like to make the controls a control layer for ease of visibility for the controllers. So I'll go to layer. This one is controller. I like to make my controllers yellow by default. So I'm going to select all the joints, go to add selected objects. Okay, good, that's more visible. Now what would be helpful is, okay, so now that I have done the entire right side, what I'm going to do to duplicate to the left side is I'm going to group it all together to a group. Edit, duplicate special, make sure the X scale is -1, hit apply, then unparent. So now, okay, so now I'm going to create one more controller. We're just going to take the neck right here. This is kind of like a controller that moves both eyes at once. Then I'm going to, yeah, let's rotate this 90 degrees. And, turns out these two faces are actually not, gotta make sure they're actually parallel to, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to adjust out here. Okay, that's approximately good enough. And then I'll probably, let's drag these out a bit more further. Okay, so this is all of the basic joints all the basic controllers that you will need for this rig here. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I am going to, this is a very important step. Once you make all the controllers, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you actually freeze transformation, so that now whenever, make sure that freeze transformation, I gotta make sure that I freeze to rotation as well. Okay, so make sure freeze transformation and make sure that all transformation properties are now zeroed out so that you can move the controllers back to the default position. Okay, so now I'm going to enable all the joints. So I'm going to call this neck controller. Let's copy the controller. Head. Show it. Head controller. Jaw. Right eyebrow. Inner. Right eyebrow. Outer. Right eye, left eyebrow, inner controller, left eyebrow, outer control, left eye control, and this is just the master eye controller. Good. Okay, so now that that's in place, let's start actually building. Let's actually start assembling a hierarchy of, let's start grouping, parenting the joints together. So I'll take the head joint and parent it to the neck, and then nearly every other joint in the scene will be parented to the head joint, because what we want is, if we move the head controller, we want all the other joints, all the other controllers to move in respect with it. Actually, no, don't do that yet. Before we do parenting, we actually need to make sure that we apply the constraints first. So now that we have the controllers, we need to actually make the controllers actually rotate the joints. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to take the controller, so the order is always controller and then an object to be controlled. Go to the animation tab, deform, it's constrain, orient constrain, make sure maintain offset is checked. This is very important. And then I will do the same with all the other joints. Without having to access the same menu again, you can use the G shortcut to repeat your previous action. So, okay, those are the rotational joints. The ones on the eyebrows are more translational, so what I'm going to do is, I am going to constrain these joints, but do it as, I'm going to do it as a point constraint this time. So make sure maintain offset is checked, and then do all the joints. So controller joint G, controller joint G. Okay, that's good. So now when we, now if we actually rotate, let's say the bottom next joint. Okay, so right now it doesn't do anything at the moment because we haven't parented all the upper joints yet. So now that that's in place, take the joints, take the controllers. So head is parented to neck, jaw, and eyelids are parented. Eyebrows are parented to head. Now you see everything rotates properly. Good. Okay, now lastly, let's do the eyes. So to do the eyes, the most basic way to do it for the sake of this lab is, you just take the controller, you click on the okay, so we need to actually click on the eye mesh. So looks like the eye schemes are reversed, so I'll call this the right eye and I'll call that the left eye. So what I'm going to do is take right eye controller, take right eye, constraint. You want to use the aim constraint this time. And then you do the same with, okay, so, oh yeah, this is very important, but before you actually apply the aim constraint, what you want to make sure is that, okay, so I'm going to take out a constraint. I'm going to click on the eyeball. You want to make sure that the pivot point is actually in the center of the eye. If that is not the case, click on each individual eyeball and click on center pivot. So now if you were to rotate using the rotate transformation, it actually rotates the eye properly. Okay, so controller, eye mesh, aim constraint, do the same with the left eye. Good. So now if I were to move these two controllers, eyes move properly, and I can individually manipulate them. I'll take these two eye controllers, parent it to the, I'll parent it to the eye controller right here. I'll take the eye controller, parent it to the head, so when we rotate the eye joint, it'll also move the eye controller, and it will, the eye will change its gaze with this eye controller as well. Okay, lastly, so there are a couple more items that we have to parent. Okay, so now that we have the joints in place, I'm going to talk about skinning. I won't go into the details of weight painting because that itself is another time-consuming procedure that takes a lot of trial and error. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the base joint. I'm going to click on the face. And I am going to go and, okay, this time for skinning, you go to rigging, skin, find joint hierarchy. You can either do closest distance or geodesic voxel. Both can give good results. Skinning method is dual quaternion, normalized weights. I find it's easier to do it in interactive, but post gives you more precision, maximum amount of influence. I set it to free because there's not too many joints in this. Okay, so now let's see how this looks. So once this is all ready, hit apply. The skinning procedure you see is taking its time as designated by the progress bar down below. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah, okay, right now as you see, the eye and the teeth aren't working yet because we actually haven't. Okay, so yeah, this looks about appropriate. I can move. Yeah, you will have to adjust the weight painting so that it doesn't drag the upper lip. But other than that, and then of course the eyebrows will drag probably a quarter. Yeah, essentially, as you can see, if you drag the inner eyebrow, it somehow also moves the nose joint, so you'll have to correct that as well. Okay, and then you also have the upper eyelid. You have the eyelid top and bottom joint, and then what you do is, okay, right now, yeah, it clearly doesn't really move the eyebrows, but now you want to change it. So when you move the upper eyelid, it rotates the upper eyelid up here instead of the rest of the nose of what it's doing right now. Okay, so that gives you a basic guidelines of what you need to strive for when doing a weight painting procedure. Okay, so now that we bound the skin, we need to make sure that the rest of the head actually moves properly with the bound skin. So I'm going to take the face, hide it. I'm going to take the eye meshes, parent it to the head joint. I'm going to take the upper teeth, parent it to the head joint as well. The bottom teeth is actually going to be parented to the jaw because as you move your jaw up and down, it moves the lower teeth as well. So, okay, that looks about right. Oh, and then as for the, okay, so there is one more area I forgot to talk about, and that is the tongue. The simplest way to do a tongue mesh is to simply, I do this near the end, so, so that the tongue joints don't interfere with weight painting the rest of the joints, but I'll make a couple more joints, create some more nerve circles, rotate 80 degrees. It'd be easier to hide the mesh once again. Okay, so about like this. Let's duplicate, shrink this a little bit. I'll take these joints, add it to layer control, and then I will, let's label these. I'll call this, I'll just call this tongue 1. Control, that's not how you spell tongue. Tongue 2 control. And then let's name these joints as well. You could, okay, so let's see. Tongue, base joint, tongue 1 joint, tongue 2 joint, tongue tip joint. Good. Okay, that is good. Okay, and then I'll take these controllers and make sure that Maya's frozen at the moment. This is quite unfortunate. Oh. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to apply orient constraints. Okay, good. Now I'm going to, okay, so now let's re-reveal the tongue again. So joints, tongue. I will perform the same bind scan. It should take, it's a very simple mesh, so it shouldn't take too long. Okay, so now I should be able to, yeah, the tongue moves properly. That's good. Now I will take the base tongue joint, head joint, parent it, take the tongue joint, take the head joint, parent that. So now, oh, and then take the other tongue joint and parent it to the upper tongue joint. Okay, all the inner objects moves properly. I can zero this out. Okay, that is good as well. Okay, now I can reveal the, yeah, wait. Okay, so now I can reveal the head joint. So now, yeah, if this is, so right now, if you want to hide the joints, the easiest way to do it is to go to show, just go to joints and uncheck it. So yeah, now I'm able to somewhat move the head properly, and I can move the, let's do that as object. I can move the eyes properly, and I can rotate the neck and the head, and then the rest, such as the chin, eyelids, and eyebrows, you will have to do it manually. You have to weight paint Malcolm manually, and I'll leave that up to you to do it.